The silver shuttle screamed through the orange sky of planet Koros as warning lights flashed red across the control panel. Princess Zara gripped her seat with hands that looked like living crystal, her blue skin shimmering with fear. The diplomatic mission to the mining colonies had seemed routine just hours ago. Emergency landing protocol activated, the ship's computer announced in a calm voice that did not match the chaos around her. Through the viewing window, Zara could see the rocky surface of Koros rushing toward them. The planet looked angry and unwelcoming, with sharp metal rocks jutting from the ground like teeth. The shuttle hit the surface with a terrible crash. Metal twisted and sparked. Zara felt pain shoot through her crystalline body as she was thrown against the wall. When everything stopped moving, silence filled the broken ship. Zara slowly opened her eyes. Her head hurt and one of her crystal arms had a small crack running down it. The shuttle was completely destroyed. Pieces of metal and broken glass covered the floor. The communication system sparked and went dark. She was alone on a planet that could kill her. Koros was known throughout the galaxy as one of the most dangerous mining planets. The air was thick with metal dust that could cut through most species' skin. The native creatures were aggressive and hunted in packs. Worst of all, massive dust storms swept across the planet every few days, bringing winds that could tear apart buildings. For Zara's people, the Cathani, the planet was especially deadly. Their crystal-based biology was beautiful but fragile. The metal dust in the air would slowly eat away at their skin like acid. The storms could shatter them completely. No Cathani had ever survived alone on Koros for more than a day. Zara tried to contact her home world, but the radio was broken beyond repair. She looked through the shuttle for anything useful. There was some water, a little food, and a basic emergency kit. It would last maybe 2 days if she was careful. She stepped outside the wrecked shuttle and immediately felt the harsh air burning her throat. The sky was a strange orange color, and 2 suns beat down with intense heat. In the distance, she could see the dark shapes of mining equipment, but they looked abandoned. As she walked toward the mining site, hoping to find help, the ground beneath her feet was covered with sharp metal fragments. Each step was careful and slow. Her crystal feet were already getting small cuts from the rough surface. The mining facility was empty when she reached it. Dust covered everything, and most of the equipment was broken or rusted. But in one of the buildings, she found something that gave her hope, fresh food containers and signs that someone had been here recently. Then she heard them. The howling started low and far away, but it was getting closer. Zara knew that sound from the briefings about Koros. Razor wolves, creatures with metal teeth and claws that could cut through almost anything. They hunted in packs and could smell fear from miles away. Zara ran back toward her shuttle as fast as her crystal legs could carry her. But the howling was getting louder. Through the orange haze of the planet's atmosphere, she could see dark shapes moving between the rocks. The wolves had found her trail. Just as panic filled her mind, she heard a different sound. The low rumble of an engine. A vehicle was coming toward her from the opposite direction. As it got closer, she could see it was a mining rover, painted yellow and covered in protective armor. The vehicle stopped between Zara and the approaching wolves. A door opened, and out stepped a figure in a full environmental suit. Even through the protective gear, Zara could tell this was a human, shorter and broader than her people, with sturdy limbs built for work rather than elegance. "Get in," the human shouted, his voice coming through a speaker in his helmet. "Those wolves don't give up easily." Zara did not hesitate. She jumped into the rover just as the first wolf appeared from behind a large rock. The creature was terrible to look at, twice the size of any wolf from her home world, with metal spikes growing from its back and teeth that gleamed like knives. The human jumped back into the driver's seat and pressed the accelerator. The rover lurched forward just as more wolves appeared. They chased the vehicle, their metal claws sparking against the rocky ground, but the rover was faster. "My name is Ben," the human said as they drove away from the danger. "I'm a mining engineer. Been working alone out here for 6 months. I am Princess Zara of the Cathani Empire, she replied, then quickly added, but just call me Zara. I crashed here after my shuttle failed. Ben looked at her through his helmet's visor. Even with the protective gear on, she could see his eyes were kind. Well, Zara, you picked a tough place to crash land. Koros doesn't like visitors. They drove for 20 minutes across the harsh landscape before Ben stopped the rover near a cluster of mining buildings. Unlike the abandoned facility Zara had found, this place was clearly lived in. Lights glowed in the windows, and she could hear the hum of working machinery. This is my home base, Ben explained as he helped her out of the rover. It's got air filtration, water recycling, and enough food for months. You'll be safe here. Inside the main building, Ben removed his helmet, revealing a face weathered by hard work but friendly in expression. His hair was brown and cut short, and his hands showed the calluses of someone who worked with tools every day. First thing we need to do is treat those cuts on your feet, Ben said, pointing to Zara's crystal legs where the sharp rocks had left small wounds. I've never worked on Cathani physiology before, but I've got a good medical kit. As Ben carefully cleaned and bandaged her wounds with gentle hands, Zara was amazed by his kindness. In her experience, most species would have asked for payment or political favors before helping a member of the royal family. But Ben simply saw someone who needed help and acted without question. Why are you here alone? Zara asked as Ben worked. The mining company I work for wanted someone to survey this sector for valuable minerals, Ben explained. Most species can't handle the environment here for long, but humans are pretty good at adapting. We're stubborn that way. But the wolves, the storms, the toxic air, how do you survive? Ben smiled. Preparation and creative thinking. I've modified all the equipment to handle the local conditions. The air filtration system uses materials I found in the old mines. The building is reinforced with metal plating to survive the storms. And I've learned the wolves' patterns. They usually hunt at dawn and dusk, so I stay inside during those times. Over the next few hours, as the orange sky outside began to darken, Ben showed Zara around his facility. Everything was practical but well organized. He had turned storage containers into living spaces, created a workshop where he repaired and improved equipment, and even built a small garden where he grew fresh vegetables using artificial light. The next supply ship isn't due for 3 weeks, Ben explained as they ate dinner together. But don't worry. I've got enough food and water for both of us. The real problem is going to be the storm that's coming. Storm? Zara asked. Ben pointed to a weather monitoring device on the wall. Big one. Should hit tomorrow evening. These storms on Koros are unlike anything in civilized space. Winds can reach 300 kilometers per hour, and they carry metal fragments that can tear through most materials like paper. How do you survive something like that? Very carefully, Ben said with a grin. I've reinforced the main building and created a shelter in the basement. It's not comfortable, but it's safe. That night, as Zara lay on the simple bed Ben had prepared for her, she thought about her situation. At home, she was surrounded by luxury and servants who attended to her every need. Here, she was dependent on a human she had just met, sleeping in a converted storage room on a deadly planet. Yet somehow, she felt safer than she had in a long time. Ben had not asked for anything in return for his help. He had not mentioned the political advantages of helping a Cathani princess. He had simply seen someone in need and acted with immediate kindness. This was different from the careful, calculated interactions she was used to in royal life. The next morning, Ben woke her early. Storm's coming faster than I thought, he said, his face serious. We need to get everything secured and move to the shelter within a few hours. They spent the morning moving supplies to the underground shelter and checking all the building's reinforcements. Ben worked with quick efficiency, but he always made sure Zara understood what they were doing and why. Your people probably think you're dead by now, Ben said as they carried water containers down to the shelter. Yes, Zara admitted sadly. The shuttle's emergency beacon was destroyed in the crash. No one knows where I am. We'll fix that, Ben said confidently. I've got communication equipment here, but the storm will interfere with any signals. Once it passes, we can contact your people. As the first winds began to pick up outside, they sealed themselves in the underground shelter. It was a small space, barely large enough for 2 people, but Ben had made it as comfortable as possible with sleeping bags, food supplies, and even some books to read. The storm hit with incredible fury. Even underground, they could hear the wind howling like a living thing. Metal fragments struck the building above with sounds like machine gun fire. The walls around them shook, but Ben's reinforcements held strong. Are you scared? Zara asked during a particularly loud moment. A little, Ben admitted. These storms are dangerous, even with all my preparations. But being scared isn't always bad. Fear keeps you careful, and careful keeps you alive. They spent 2 days in the shelter waiting for the storm to pass. During that time, they talked about their different worlds and lives. Zara told Ben about the crystal cities of her home planet, where buildings grew like living things and music filled the air day and night. Ben described Earth, with its blue skies and green forests, where humans had learned to survive and thrive in countless different environments. Your people are remarkable, Zara said. Most species would have given up on a planet like Koros. But you found a way to not just survive, but actually accomplish your mission here. Humans don't give up easily, Ben replied. Sometimes that gets us in trouble, but sometimes it lets us do things others think are impossible. When the storm finally ended and they emerged from the shelter, Zara saw that Ben's preparations had saved them. The main building was damaged but still standing. Other structures in the area had been completely destroyed by the metal-filled winds. Ben immediately went to work repairing the communication equipment. His hands moved with practiced skill as he replaced damaged components and rerouted power systems. Within a few hours, he had restored basic communication capability. There, he said with satisfaction. We can now send a message to Cathani space. Your mother is probably worried sick. As Ben prepared to send the message that would bring rescue ships to Koros, Zara realized something important had changed inside her. This human, working alone on a dangerous planet, had shown her a kind of strength and kindness she had never experienced before. He had risked his life to save her, shared his limited resources without question, and asked for nothing in return. Ben, she said as he worked on the radio, when my people come to rescue me, I want you to come with us. There's so much my mother and our people need to learn from humans. Ben looked up from his work and smiled. I'd be honored to meet your mother, Zara. But first, let's make sure you get home safely. As the communication equipment powered up and prepared to send their location to the Cathani fleet, Zara knew that this rescue would be much more than just bringing a lost princess home. It would be the beginning of something new between their peoples, built on the simple human principle that helping others was always the right thing to do. The message beacon activated, sending their coordinates across space toward the Cathani Empire. Soon, Queen Vera would learn that her daughter was alive, safe, and returning home with a human who had changed everything. 3 days after Ben sent the rescue signal from planet Koros, silver ships appeared in the orange sky. The Cathani rescue fleet arrived in formation, their crystal hulls gleaming against the harsh sunlight. Princess Zara watched through Ben's reinforced windows as the lead ship descended toward their location. That's my mother's personal vessel, Zara said, pointing to the largest ship with its distinctive blue crystal panels. She came herself. Ben checked his environmental suit one more time. Are you sure about this? I'm just a mining engineer. Meeting royalty isn't exactly in my job description. You saved the life of a princess, Zara replied firmly. That makes you more important than any diplomat or general in our empire. The rescue ship landed with graceful precision near Ben's mining facility. A ramp extended from the vessel, and figures in elegant environmental suits began to emerge. Even through their protective gear, Ben could see the refined movements that marked them as Cathani nobility. Queen Vera was the first to step onto the rocky surface of Koros. Her environmental suit was crafted from the finest materials, but her movements showed urgency rather than royal ceremony. Behind her came a team of doctors, guards, and advisors, all focused on one mission, bringing the princess home safely. "Mother!" Zara called out as she ran toward the ship. The two Cathani embraced with deep emotion, their crystal bodies catching the light in brilliant flashes. Queen Vera held her daughter close, and even through her helmet, Ben could see tears streaming down her face. "My child, my precious child," Queen Vera whispered, her voice carrying through the communication system. "When we lost contact with your shuttle, we feared the worst. I have not slept since you disappeared." "I am safe, Mother," Zara said. "But only because of him." She turned and gestured toward Ben, who stood awkwardly near his mining facility. Queen Vera looked at the human for the first time. Ben was still wearing his work clothes under his environmental suit, and his equipment showed the wear of months of hard use. Next to the elegant Cathani rescue party, he looked very ordinary. "You are Ben?" Queen Vera asked, approaching him with careful steps. "Yes, Your Majesty," Ben replied, not sure of the proper way to address Cathani royalty. "I'm just glad I could help your daughter." The Queen stopped in front of him and studied his face through their helmet visors. "Just glad you could help," she repeated. "Human Ben, do you understand what you have done?" "I helped someone who needed it," Ben said simply. "Anyone would have done the same." Queen Vera turned to her advisors, speaking in rapid Cathani. Ben could not understand the words, but he could hear surprise and amazement in their voices. Princess Zara joined the conversation, clearly explaining what had happened during her time on Koros. "Your Majesty," said General Korvax, the Queen's chief military advisor, "we should depart immediately. This planet remains dangerous, and we have accomplished our mission." "No," Queen Vera said firmly. "We will not leave until I have properly honored this human who saved my daughter's life." She turned back to Ben. "You will come with us to our home world." "I insist." "I appreciate the offer," Ben said, "but I have work to finish here. The mining survey isn't complete." "The mining survey can wait," Queen Vera declared. "You are now under royal protection. Your safety and comfort are my personal responsibility." During the journey back to Cathani space, Ben found himself aboard the most luxurious spacecraft he had ever seen. The walls were made of living crystal that pulsed with soft light. Art and music filled every corridor. Servants attended to his every need, bringing him foods he had never tasted and clothes finer than anything he owned. But what impressed Ben most was not the luxury, it was the genuine gratitude of every Cathani on the ship. Word had spread quickly about the human who saved their princess. Crew members and nobles alike approached Ben to thank him personally. "I don't understand," Ben told Princess Zara as they stood in the ship's observation deck, watching stars stream past. "I just did what anyone would do." "That's exactly why my people are so amazed," Zara explained. "In our society, every action is carefully calculated. We analyze political consequences, economic benefits, and social implications before making decisions. But you saw someone in need and immediately helped, without thinking about what you might gain. Is that unusual? Among humans, perhaps not. But among most civilized species, yes. We have become so sophisticated in our thinking that we sometimes forget simple kindness." The journey to the Cathani home world took 5 days. During that time, Ben learned about Cathani culture and history. Their civilization was ancient and complex, built on principles of logic, beauty, and careful planning. They had avoided most wars through clever diplomacy and had created art that was famous throughout the galaxy. But as Ben talked with different Cathani, he noticed something troubling. Many of them seemed to have lost touch with immediate emotional responses. They analyzed everything so carefully that spontaneous kindness had become rare. "We have gained much wisdom over the centuries," admitted Dr. Thane, the ship's chief medical officer, "but perhaps we have lost some of our natural compassion in the process." When they finally reached the Cathani home world of Christhera, Ben was amazed by what he saw. The planet's surface was covered with cities that looked like they had grown rather than been built. Towers of living crystal reached toward the sky, their surfaces shifting through different colors as the light changed. The royal palace was the most beautiful building Ben had ever seen. It rose from the center of the capital city like a massive crystal flower, its petals opening to reveal chambers and corridors that sparkled with inner light. But the real shock came when their ship landed at the palace spaceport. Thousands of Cathani had gathered to welcome their princess home. When they saw Ben emerge from the ship alongside the royal family, the crowd erupted in cheers that sounded like crystal bells ringing in harmony. "Princess Zara! Princess Zara," they called. And then, to Ben's amazement, they began chanting his name as well. "Ben! Ben! Ben!" Queen Vera led them through the crowd toward the palace. Guards in crystal armor formed protective lines, but the people pressed close, wanting to see the human who had saved their beloved princess. Inside the palace, Ben was given quarters in the royal wing, rooms normally reserved for visiting heads of state. The chambers were larger than his entire mining facility on Koros, with walls that showed moving pictures of Cathani history and furniture that adjusted automatically to his comfort. But Ben felt uncomfortable with all the luxury and attention. He was used to simple living and practical work. The royal treatment made him nervous. That evening, Queen Vera held a formal ceremony in the palace's great hall. The room was filled with the most important people in the Cathani Empire, nobles, generals, artists, and scholars. They had come to honor the human who had risked his life for one of their own. "Citizens of Crysthera," Queen Vera announced, her voice carrying clearly through the crystal acoustics of the hall, "we gather tonight to honor one who showed us the true meaning of heroism. Ben of Earth saved my daughter not for reward or recognition, but because helping others is the right thing to do." The crowd applauded, their hands creating a sound like gentle rain. Queen Vera continued her speech, but Ben found himself thinking about how strange all this felt. On Koros, he had simply done what seemed natural. Now it was being treated as something extraordinary. "Ben," Queen Vera said, addressing him directly, "you have shown us something we had forgotten in our pursuit of wisdom and sophistication. You have reminded us that the greatest intelligence is knowing when to act with the heart rather than the mind." She approached Ben with a crystal pendant in her hands. "I hereby name you an honorary member of the Cathani royal family. You are welcome in our empire for all time, with every privilege and protection that entails." Ben accepted the honor with gratitude, but when it came time for him to speak to the gathered crowd, he kept his words simple. "Your Majesty, honored guests," he began, "I'm grateful for your kindness, but I need to be honest. I didn't save Princess Zara because I'm a hero. I saved her because she needed help, and helping people is just what humans do. Where I come from, we have a saying, we're all in this together. That means when someone is in trouble, you don't think about politics or rewards. You just help." The hall was silent as Ben's words were translated and considered. Then Princess Zara stood up. "This is exactly what I tried to tell you," she said to the assembly. "This human shows us a way of living that we have forgotten. He acts from the heart immediately, without calculation or hesitation." Over the following days, Ben met with government officials, military leaders, and scholars. Everyone wanted to understand human psychology and culture. They were fascinated by humanity's tendency toward immediate action in crisis situations. "Your species seems to have maintained emotional spontaneity while developing advanced technology," observed Dr. Elan, the Empire's leading expert on alien psychology. "Most civilizations lose one when they gain the other. Maybe that's because we never forgot that technology is supposed to serve people, not the other way around," Ben suggested. The discussions led to something unprecedented in Cathani history. Queen Vera announced the establishment of formal diplomatic relations with Earth, along with cultural and technological exchange programs. "We have much to learn from each other," she declared. "Human intuition and Cathani wisdom together could benefit both our peoples." But the most important change came when Queen Vera announced a new policy for the Empire. She called it the compassion principle, a law requiring all government officials to consider the immediate human cost of their decisions, not just the political or economic consequences. My daughter's rescue has taught us that sometimes the wisest action is the kindest action, the Queen explained to her council. We will no longer make decisions based solely on calculated advantage. We will remember to act with hearts as well as minds. The policy was revolutionary for Cathani society. For centuries, they had prided themselves on logical decision-making. Now they were formally recognizing the value of emotional intelligence and spontaneous compassion. As the weeks passed, Ben found himself at the center of a cultural transformation. Young Cathani began studying human philosophy and psychology. Artists created works inspired by human stories of heroism and kindness. Scientists explored the biological basis of human empathy. But Ben remained uncomfortable with all the attention. When Queen Vera offered him a permanent position as cultural advisor to the empire, he respectfully declined. "Your Majesty," he said, "I'm honored by your offer, but I'm not a diplomat or a philosopher. I'm an engineer who likes to solve practical problems. I think I can serve both our peoples best by doing what I do well." "And what is that?" Queen Vera asked. "Building things. Fixing things. Making life better in simple, direct ways." Queen Vera smiled, the first truly relaxed smile Ben had seen from her. "Very well, Engineer Ben. But you will not return to your lonely mining work. I have a better proposal." The Queen's proposal was to establish the first joint human Cathani research facility. It would be located on a neutral world between their two territories, where engineers and scientists from both species could work together on projects that would benefit everyone. "You would lead the human engineering team," Queen Vera explained. "Princess Zara has volunteered to serve as Cathani liaison. Together, you could begin the practical work of cooperation between our peoples." Ben accepted this proposal with enthusiasm. It combined his love of practical work with the opportunity to build something meaningful between two civilizations. The night before Ben was scheduled to depart for the new research facility, Princess Zara found him on one of the palace's crystal balconies, looking up at the stars. "Do you regret saving me?" she asked. "Your life has become much more complicated than you expected." Ben considered the question seriously. "No," he said finally. "I don't regret it. But I hope people don't think what I did was special. If we start treating basic kindness like it's rare and amazing, we might forget to practice it ourselves." "That," Zara said, "is exactly why my mother considers you the wisest person she has ever met." As Ben prepared to begin his new work with the joint research facility, he realized that his simple act of helping a stranded traveler had grown into something much larger. The rescue on Koros had not only saved a princess, it had reminded two entire civilizations about the power of immediate, uncalculated compassion. The research facility would develop new technologies, solve practical problems, and create opportunities for both humans and Cathani to work side by side. But its real purpose would be to prove that cooperation based on mutual respect and genuine caring could accomplish things that pure logic never could. Queen Vera kept the crystal pendant Ben had worn during the ceremony as a symbol in the royal treasury. She declared it a reminder that sometimes the greatest wisdom comes not from careful calculation, but from the simple human principle that when someone needs help, you help them. And in the years that followed, as humans and Cathani worked together to build better lives for both their peoples, they would remember the mining engineer who had shown them that the best technology of all was a caring heart.